Welcome to the StinBA channel. My name is Stin, and today we'll be talking some Charlotte Hornets basketball. As always, one thing that I have to ask is to please like or subscribe, maybe even comment, just some indicator so I can see how many people are interested in Charlotte Hornets basketball, and yeah, maybe we can create a community, you know? All right, there's 4 games to talk about for this week, so I'm just gonna get in here. Starting out with the Thunder game. Nick Richards returned for this game, so that's nice, although it was off the bench, which Steve Clifford tried to justify for this game, but looking at trends that happened that showed later in this week, it looks like a 7-foot Nick Richards lost his starting center job to a 6'6" Grant Williams. Wow. Anyways, they're going against a Thunder team that's going to end the season with a top 3 seed in the West, but going into this game, they've been sliding, going on a 3-game losing streak because of the absence of J-Dub and Shea. So with those two out, that at least gave the Hornets a fighting chance in this game, and it showed. Really competitive game all the way through, and that was actually because of the former Thunder players on the Hornets. They all really balled out against their former team. Really everyone had a good performance except for the 2 guys that needed to perform the most, Miles and Brandon. And that's something that I've noticed about Brandon. He rarely follows up great performances with another great performance. Definitely would like to see consistency get better for sure. But yeah, despite the bad play from those 2, the Hornets were actually up 4 in crunch time, but the Hornets got out executed down the stretch. I saw a Grant Williams ISO that I didn't like. Also, Isaiah Joe made 2 threes in a short period of time, and yeah, the Thunder's late game 3-point shooting sunk the Hornets. Really unfortunate for the former OKC guys. I could tell they really wanted this game. Also, I have to mention that Gordon Hayward got a tribute video in his return to Charlotte, and I've got to say, I don't like it, and I'll talk about it more when it's time to give out end of the season player grades. Next game on the slate is versus the Dallas Mavericks, another team that the Hornets dealt with at the trade deadline, trading PJ Washington for Grant Williams, and Mavericks fans have been going over the top to justify the trade instead of just saying it's a win-win. So it would have been really nice to win this game so they can stop talking. Unfortunately, this ended up being one of the most filler games of the season, more filler than Pokemon Orange Islands. Luka got off to a really hot start, and that combined with the fact that the Hornets got outworked by this Mavericks team, that just put them in a big hole that they could never recover from. The whole game was extended garbage time. Really unfortunate way for the last home game of the season to go. Next game on the slate is versus the Hawks, the final game of the I-85 rivalry for this season. And to increase the difficulty sliders, this is the game when Trae Young decided to make his return. The only thing that gave the Hornets a chance in this game was the Hawks injury report, missing just about the same guys as last time and DeJounte Murray, and the Hornets really took advantage of this. Like, it was a tight game going into halftime. They took the advantage until they didn't. As in Hornets fashion, they let Atlanta build up an 18-point lead behind some strong play from Bogdanović. But in the 4th quarter, the Hawks decided to go with no Trae Young and basically no starters because my guess is Trae is on a little minutes restriction, and the Hawks just played a double overtime game against the Heat on the previous night. The Hawks still have the opportunity to move up, at least they had it on that night, but they're already locked into a play-in spot no matter what. Like, they're going to be playing in the play-in against the Bulls. That's locked in, so I guess they just surrendered this game to make sure everyone was all right going into the play-in game against Chicago. They have bigger battles to fight. That's the feeling that I got from that move. Unfortunate that the Hornets can't be in a situation like that, but hey, since the Hawks made that decision putting a skeleton crew out there, the Hornets won't say no to an easy comeback victory, as that's what happened. The Hornets ripped apart that 18-point lead easily, playing against what Atlanta decided to put out. There was some intrigue at the end of this game with Trent Forrest taking over. Really looked like he was going to wheel the Hawks to a win, but he missed the big free throw that would have given the Hawks a 5-point lead with around a minute left. Hornets score on back-to-back possessions, and the Hawks go scoreless, and the Hornets win. Shoutouts go to Brandon Miller, leading scorer, amazing three-point shooting, highlight plays, and he really kept the Hornets within striking distance, which made the comeback possible, actually. Also, shout out to Miles Bridges. Solid game for him and a game winner. He always plays really well against Atlanta. And the final shout out is to Trey Mann, not for his shooting, but for his defense. 7 steals, and even that doesn't tell the whole story. His defense created so many opportunities for the Hornets. So yeah, nice to win the I-85 rivalry against the Hawks. Last game on the slate is Hornets versus Celtics, a game that should have been a revenge game and probably a game that the Hornets should have been favored in because the Celtics sat their whole starting lineup. But it ended up being the second filler game from this week, as the Hornets were missing Grant Williams and Nick Richards for this game, making them thin at the center spot. And yeah, this game was a disaster. 20-point deficit at halftime, and Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller got shut down for the second half of the game. Garbage time all the way through. Understandable, but I don't like when the NBA season gets to this point when it's winding down and players are resting. Like, it's understandable, but man, it's just unwatchable basketball watching like third string G League players play. Moving on to next week, the final game of the season is against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They just locked up a top 5 seed in the East, and if they beat the Hornets, they'll get the 4th seed. So when I was talking about the Cavs probably being locked into a playoff spot by now and probably not playing their guys, yeah, no. They're gonna play their guys against what's probably going to be a limited Hornets team. Hornets are probably going to shut some more players down, and yeah, easy Cavs win. That's how the game should go, but anything can happen, so we'll see. But yeah, that's it.